Hi, I'm Shane Maher of Pre-Construct Archaeology, and I'll be giving a brief presentation about our 2017 excavations at Holy Family Technology College, Walthamstow. The site was located on the playing fields of Holy Family Technology College, approximately 1.5 miles to the east of the River Lee in the heart of Walthamstow village, the historic core of Walthamstow. And on this plan you can see the route of the River Lee running along there and our site in here. The excavation was undertaken so new sports hall, classrooms and changing facilities for the school could be built. Our main excavations began on the 1st of February 2017 and ended on the 21st of July 2017. And here on this plan we can see our main trench, we can see the trenches of the 2009 evaluation, and we can see this area in blue where we undertook watch and brief monitoring, service runs and the grubbing out of the foundations of a school building. To the southwest we have the graveyard belonging to St Mary's Church. St Mary's Church is the oldest building in the parish with foundations dating to the 12th century. This plan shows the church, the graveyard, the blue is the school boundary and the red is our main trench. And here we have two views of the church, the front and the rear, and the tower that you see was added in the 15th century. Here are views of the graveyard, this one looking towards the Minot almshouses, and it's just a general view. Here we have the site on the 1746 rock map, indicated in the blue with lines of trees running across it, and here on the tithe map 1842, where the majority of the site still lies underdeveloped, but in the southeast corner you can see some properties. The site was occupied by St Nicholas Industrial School in 1850 and following its move to Little Ilford in 1868 by St John's Industrial School, which by 1919 had become St John's Reformatory School. And here we have St Nicholas Industrial School with the majority of the site still lying undeveloped, and again you can see the school buildings of the Reformatory School in here taking the form that they were when we arrived, and this area no development. And here we have 1939 Ordnance Survey showing again the area of our excavation, no development, and the school buildings almost in the form that it was when we did restart our excavation. And again, our area, no development, just the school buildings. Like much of London, the site lay in an area that had been heavily bombed during World War II. On this map we can see just how close some of these came to the school and its grounds. The circular spots are high explosive bombs and the triangles parachute mines. On this slide you can see areas of substantial bomb damage very close to the site, here and a little bit in here. And what is also noticeable is on the area of our site is you can see allotment plots where they were digging for Britain. So just in case we came across one of these, we had to have an unexploded ordnance specialist on site whilst we removed the upper soil deposits. And here he is here monitoring the machining of the site. Luckily we found nothing, but this was not our only challenge during our excavation. The weather, namely the rain, caused a lot of problems, as you can see from the photographs. This meant we had to turn a site looking like this into one like this. And the way we did that is by cleaning and more cleaning. But here you can start to see features defining themselves. And here you can see linear features defining themselves. And this is a good example where you can see a cleaned area of site where you can clearly see the archaeology, and on this it's very, very difficult to see anything. And sometimes the cleaning just seemed endless. This brings us to the excavation. The reason we knew the site had archaeological potential was in 2009, PCA excavated 4 evaluation trenches across the playing fields. These indicated that there had been human activity on site during the Iron Age and the Roman periods. And here we have a Roman post hole with post packing. And we come to the excavation itself. And this plan shows all the features that we recorded and excavated during our dig. This was broke down into 2 main time periods: the prehistoric, which is the late Bronze Age to early Iron Age, and here you can see the outline of a ring ditch, quarry pitting to the north, and some storage pits. And here we're looking southwest towards St Mary's Churchyard. The shot shows the unexcavated ring ditch in the centre of the photo. The linears we can see cutting the ditch are Roman in date. And here we have a ring ditch running around like this. Very, very faint grey. In this photo we're looking west towards the entrance of the ring ditch, which faced to the east. This feature represents the drip gully of a roundhouse. Only 3 post holes that were contemporary with the ring ditch were noted within its central area. 2 were set back from the entrance and were likely the door posts from the roundhouse, here and here, and you can see them on the plan here. The lack of internal post holes suggests the superstructure had been supported by posts that were either ground set or rested on base plates. The area to the north of a roundhouse was covered by a homogeneous grey layer, which, when excavated, revealed a series of intercutting pits, here and over here. The pits themselves would have been dug if and when it was necessary to extract brick earth for pottery manufacture and to clad the roundhouse walls. They would then have been a convenient place to dump the household waste away from the entrance of the house. And here you can see the excavated pits, some mere scoops, others more substantial. Substantial quantities of charcoal and pottery were recovered from the pit fills, as was a small quantity of burnt bone. Virtually all of the pottery was tempered with crushed burnt flint, along with some ferrous pellets. A few shards appear to have been refired, and there were several with flint encrusted bases. The probable date range for the assemblage was 850 to 600 BC. A small quantity of struck flints and lumps of burnt flint were also recovered from this area. And here we have other examples of the pottery. You can see it's been pinched here and there. Here we have more pinched pottery and similar vessels lifted from Heathrow excavations. 3 large storage pits were excavated to the west and southwest of the ring ditch. These produced very little in the way of finds. Only 2 small fragments of daub were recovered from this one and this one. And here you can see where they are on the plan. Now we come to the Roman phase, and you can see there's a lot of activity during this phase. The plan shows beam slots and post hole alignments that form building footprints. The pottery recovered from these features indicated they were dated from the late Roman period, the 3rd and 4th century. And here you can see post hole alignments here, 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 and the linears of the beam slots. And here's a picture of one of the areas where you can clearly see beam slots running here, 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 and up here with lines of post holes across. Here we can see a definite pattern that postdates the ring ditch. The linears now look more structural and more like a building footprint. In the centre of the photo, at least 2 rectangular rooms can be seen, and the remains of possible brick earth cladding of a wall. And here's the rooms here, and that sort of lighter patch there is the possible brick earth cladding. On this slide you get a better look of this area. You can see the rooms, you can see the remains of the ring ditch coming here, but you can see this blotchy area here that looks like the cladding, possible cladding of a wall. Again, you can see it from a different angle, partially excavated. You can see the lighter patch in the centre and the darker on the outside. And here we have a section of it where you can plainly see it here, and then the underlying grey area is likely all that remains of the sill beam that the superstructure would have sat on. And here's the cladding. Here's more beam slots. We have this one running across here and here, which is this area up here, and another view looking off to the north where we can plainly see the right angle of the building footprints. And here we have some of the guys digging, and in the other extreme of the weather where it was very, very hot and the ground was like concrete. And we move to the east of the site where we have at least two more buildings, one larger one in this area and a smaller barn type structure in this area. Again, here they are during excavation and recording. You can just about make out the line of post holes. There's a beam slot here and another one there, and you can see it coming off like that. In the east of the site, post hole alignments and shallow linear cuts form very distinctive rectangular patterns, indicating these are the outline of clay and timber buildings. And there's one beam slot, line of post holes, and you can see the right angles being formed with some of these linears coming across, and another beam slot. This is a plan of the same area with the west at the top of the image and the east at the bottom, and you can see our line of post holes there, which represents these. You can see the small beam slot here, which is this one, and then to the south another one coming down this way. This is the smallest of our structures. It comprised two beam slots either side and a line of post holes at the rear and open-ended to the north. And here you can see it in plan, the line of post holes, the beam slots, and that. This is likely represents a small storage barn or maybe even a shed for keeping livestock. Here we have the last of our buildings. This was located in the northeast of the trench, and you can see the post holes and beam slots running here. You can see the post hole with post packing there and beam slot, which is this area roughly here, and then an extended part of the building going off to the north and a sort of curved edge to it here. And here we have the beam slot and drip gully that was to the north. Here's the beam slot and the drip gully, and if you notice the profiles of them, you've got a sharper break from the drip gully and then a more shallow flattish base of where the sill beam would have rested. Close to the northern beam slot, a small pit was excavated which contained fragments of a complete 4th century Oxfordshire slipware pot with rough painted scroll decoration. This was dated 300 to 400 AD, and in the picture you can see that very crude scrolling. Also in this area we found Roman building material, but unlike the pottery, the building material had much earlier date ranges, indicating they were being reused. Most of the building materials were recovered from the east of the site, suggesting the presence of a masonry building or stockpile lying somewhere in this area. And now you can see the masonry, the bits of masonry in situ, and then you can see it cleaned up. Here we have a brick and flue tile, both white Eccles fabric, which were dated 50 to 80 AD. The presence of box flue tiles suggests the possibility of a heated building or bathhouse nearby. And here we come to the boundary of a Roman settlement. This is the western boundary ditch. We encountered no evidence of Roman settlement or habitation to the west of this, or even Roman activity. And here you can see another shot of it, and there a rough profile. This ditch extended beyond the northern and southern site boundaries, which means it's running under the school's playing fields up there and possibly underneath the houses to the south. We have more ditches and drainage ditches. Here's two shallow drainage ditches which ran east to west across the site with Vinegar Alley in the background, and ironically the two ditches are running here, and you can see where the water's pooled up there. That's these two here. Other ditches, drainage ditches, this larger one are running north to south, and another smaller gully running in at the edge of the excavation. The north-south ditch, you can see it in profile running here, had a slight curve to it. It started shallower in the south and got deeper as it went to the north. And in this ditch we found a broken single-handled much-hadam red slipware flagon which dated 200 to 400 AD. And there we have it in situ. The east of the site was where we found, as I said before, where we found all of our building material, and it was usually in small scatters, almost like, not sure whether they were post pads or what, but here's pictures of some of them. And here we have a spread of box flue tiles laid out. And this variety of flue tiles, both of the ones we're looking at, were made from local shelly fabrics, which have been combed. In this slide we have some of the very few animal remains we recovered from the site, some horses' teeth lying beside parts of a Nene Valley colour-coated ware flange bowl. And the teeth are just about there, the remnants of the bowl are there, and that's the bowl when it was cleaned up. Here we have more Roman pottery. We have heavy abraded flange bowl, Oxford red colour-coated ware, dated AD 270 to 400. And a plain dog dish Nene Valley colour-coated ware, 150 to 400. And here we have an example of late Roman ware, Porchester D. Here dated 350 to 400, and here we have a rim fabric of Martaria. This fragment of burnt brick may seem quite random and insignificant, but it and the presence of the box flue tiles recovered in the eastern area of the site does suggest the possibility of a heated building somewhere in the vicinity. Two of the other finds, we found two spindle whorls on site, and this is them, one shale and one ceramic. And we also found a very small number of coins. These were from the eastern portion of the site near to the school buildings. This and the following slide are the two best examples of those recovered. The coin we're looking at is a numis of Constantine I and dates from the early part of the 4th century, 307 to 308 AD. This coin is of particular interest as it is a mule, a hybrid coin produced by two dies not intended to be used together. The reverse die is for the late Silique of Julian, 360 to 363, and the obverse die was for his successor Jovian, 363 to 364. This suggests the coin was minted in a hurry immediately after Julian's unexpected death while campaigning in Mesopotamia. The Emperor Jovian ruled for 8 months, but both these coins show activity on the site in the late 4th century. One thing worth noting was a lack of domestic or industrial material, either from refuge pits or dump deposits across the site. This suggests these buildings were not intended for such uses and represent barns and sheds from a larger late Roman farmstead with living and cooking quarters lying somewhere beyond the site boundaries. Hopefully this will be investigated sometimes in the not too distant future by somebody. And this brings to an end my presentation, and I hope you have enjoyed it.